A farmer from Zabaikali could never have imagined that an ordinary morning would transform his life. Near his barn, he spotted tiny, fluffy kittens, helpless, blind, clearly abandoned by their mother. He took them in, hoping to save them, but had no idea of the secret these little ones concealed. When experts saw the discovery, they were utterly speechless. These kittens were not what everyone had assumed. One day, a farmer from Zabaikali was tending to his farm as usual. The morning was cool but clear. The man stepped outside into the yard and headed toward the barn where he kept his livestock. However, as he approached, he noticed something unusual. In a corner, by the wooden wall, something was moving. Upon closer inspection, he saw tiny, vulnerable kittens huddled together. They were very small, still blind, just born. Their fur was fluffy and thick, uniformly colored, and their tiny paws shivered from the cold. The farmer frowned. Where was their mother? Why were they here, in such a defenseless state? He reasoned that the cat must have brought them closer to human habitation, but then disappeared for some reason. The man knew that without his help, the kittens wouldn't survive. They were too young to find food or keep warm on their own. Without hesitation, he carefully gathered them and carried them into his house, wrapping them in a warm cloth. But caring for such tiny creatures proved to be no easy task. They needed to be fed with a dropper, kept warm, and tended to almost around the clock. The farmer realized that without the right experience and time, he might harm the little ones, so he decided to seek help from the Dorsky Reserve. The reserve staff listened attentively to the man and suggested finding a nursing cat. If she had recently given birth to her own kittens, she might accept the foundlings as well. It seemed like the best solution. But when the experts saw the kittens themselves, they were left speechless. It turned out that these little ones were not ordinary kittens at all. They were Manil kittens, one of the rarest and least studied wild cats in the world. The Manil is a unique member of the feline family. These animals inhabit remote regions of steppes and mountains, lead a secretive lifestyle, and are known for their independent nature. Their fur is exceptionally thick, and their faces appear rounder compared to domestic cats, giving them a particularly charming appearance. However, unlike our familiar fluffy pets, Manils are virtually impossible to tame. When they are still very young, they can interact peacefully with humans. But as soon as they grow older, their natural instincts take over. They become wild and unpredictable, and keeping such animals in a home becomes a serious problem. The farmer was astounded. He hadn't even suspected that his find would be so rare. He learned that on the black market, Manils are valued at hundreds of thousands of rubles. Collectors and exotic animal enthusiasts are willing to pay enormous sums to own one. Yet, capturing a Manil in the wild is nearly impossible, as they lead a hidden life. Finding their kittens is even harder. Of course, the man had the opportunity to sell these kittens and make a fortune. But he didn't even consider it. He understood that Manils should not live in captivity. These animals feel comfortable only in their natural environment. Even in zoos, keeping them presents a significant challenge. So, the farmer made the only right decision, to hand the foundlings over to the reserve. The reserve staff began searching for a suitable nursing cat. It was a difficult process, as not every cat agrees to nurse foreign kittens, especially wild ones. Fortunately, after a few days, they found surrogate mothers. What happened next was nothing short of a miracle. The nursing cats accepted the Manils as if they were their own offspring. They licked them, kept them warm, and fed them milk. With each passing day, the Manils grew and gained strength. But along with that, their natural instincts began to emerge. They became more active and cautious. They sought contact with humans less and less, preferring to hide, as if sensing they didn't belong among people. When the Manils reached an age where they could live independently, the reserve decided to release them back into the wild. They fitted them with special radio collars to track their movements and monitor how they adapted to their environment. The first few weeks went well, but with the onset of winter, the young Manils faced serious challenges. They weren't fully prepared for the harsh conditions, where they had to find food and shelter on their own. Soon, the radio signals became less frequent. Later, experts discovered that the Manils had shed their collars. When they were located again, the animals looked exhausted and hungry. The reserve made an urgent decision, to bring the Manils back to a safe place for the winter. They provided shelter, food, and time for the animals to better adapt to wild conditions. When spring arrived, the mammals were stronger and had learned to hunt more effectively. This time, they were released into the wild again. Now, they were fully prepared for life in nature. It soon became clear that the animals had successfully adapted. They no longer needed human help.
Today, These Manuls live in the steppes of Zabaikalie, free and strong.
This story shocked many people. Manuls are among the most mysterious wild cats, and even scientists still find it challenging to study their behavior. The case of a human managing to rescue and raise kittens, then successfully return them to the wild, is truly exceptional. Some wonder, was it really worth releasing them back into the wild, especially when they could have fetched a fortune on the black market for these rare kittens? Selling them would have meant financial security, the chance to expand the farm, and help for his family. But can the life of wild animals be measured in money? The answer is obvious. No amount of money can justify keeping a living creature in a cage. Manuls are descendants of the wild, created for freedom. They were never, and could never be, domestic pets. Even if someone tries to tame them, their natural instincts will eventually prevail. Imagine if one of these kittens ended up in a collector's home. At first, it might seem cute and obedient, but as it grew older, it would start showing aggression, avoiding people, hiding, biting, and scratching. Its fur requires special care, and its health needs a specific diet and conditions. In captivity, manuls often fall ill, suffer from stress, and their bodies aren't adapted to life in a confined space. These experiments usually end tragically. The animal either dies or becomes so miserable that it's eventually abandoned or sent to a zoo, where it can no longer live a fulfilling life. The farmer who stumbled upon the kittens understood with a heavy heart that keeping them for himself or selling them to the highest bidder would inevitably doom them to a life of suffering. He recognized the harsh reality that confinement, whether in his modest home or the hands of an unscrupulous buyer, would strip these fragile creatures of their innate dignity and natural purpose. The thought of their potential misery weighed on him. The cramped spaces, the unnatural diet, the loneliness that would gnaw at their wild spirits. Instead, he made the only morally sound choice available to him, to entrust them to the care of experts who possessed the knowledge, resources, and compassion to offer these manuls a chance at a full, vibrant life in an environment suited to their needs. This decision wasn't made lightly. It required him to set aside personal gain and confront the emotional challenge of letting go, trusting that professionals at the reserve could provide what he, despite his good intentions, could not. And he never once regretted his decision. Far from it, the farmer found a deep sense of fulfillment in the path he had chosen. He didn't merely save a handful of lives in a fleeting moment of rescue, he opened the door to a transformative journey for these remarkable creatures.